Hey y'all, my name is Sarah and I just love to talk about movies. I think I may have mentioned before that science fiction is one of my favorite genres because I like to see the creativity and imagine what the future is going to be like. And in the movie we're going to talk about today, Jupiter Ascending, it seems more like a combination of both science fiction and fantasy. Jupiter Ascending is about a young woman named Jupiter Jones, who is an immigrant to the United States where she lives with her family. It sort of shows how her origin story, so how she ended up in America in the first place, and where she is in the present, which is working with her family. I guess they own a cleaning service. Her and her mom go out, they clean houses, whatever, and then she comes home. So her life is full of routine, full of monotony. She does the same things most days, it seems like. At the same time, we are aware that there are some beings that are utilizing advanced technology in the same city at the same time, and they appear to be converging on her. One day, Jupiter is kidnapped, and it is revealed to her that she is the genetic reincarnation of a family of beings that are the most wealthy, most powerful beings in all of the universes, and that as such, she is entitled to a property, that property being planet Earth, which apparently is one of the most valuable pieces of property. Planet as a property, so weird. And that in order for her to inherit it, she has to acknowledge her birthright, go through all of these hoops. And of course, there are people that want the Earth and want claim over the Earth, and she is sort of an obstacle to that. A lot of people with different agendas, all trying to convince her one way or the other. Ultimately, she is forced to fight for her life. There's a huge confrontation in which she survives and is able to make her claim, and her claiming the Earth also provides a sort of protection as a member of this royal family. I'm super simplifying it because there's a lot in here to unpack, and that is my biggest issue with this movie. I'm gonna backtrack and start from the beginning. So the beginning of the story is very touching. It's very heartwarming. Her mother and father met randomly one night, fell in love, got married. We're about to have her when there's a break-in in their house, and her father is killed during the break-in. And her mother decided to flee the country with her family and travel to America in a shipping container to get her into the country. Next thing you know, she's waking up some odd years later. We're not quite sure how old she is. We're assuming that she's over 18, out of school, but I would say under 25. It's difficult to say. She's living with her mother and cousins and other relatives, and they all work together. The beginning of this story is super bleak and messed up. Both of her parents were intellectuals and on their way to making, doing big things with their lives. And while there's nothing wrong with being a housekeeper, the way they frame that as like nothing beyond that, nothing beyond day-to-day regular routine. The visual effects were very good. I think they did a very good job with designing outfits, designing the characters, designing the technology, how that would look in a fight scene and whatnot. For example, Caine's, I forget what they're called, but the boots that have like the anti-gravity in them, how he would move if like each of your boots was like individual. It's very different if you're on something that you're riding, but the way that they visualized that was really cool. All of the different types of people, I appreciate that they really let you feel the magnitude of the world beyond Earth and the normal world. Everybody had a different look. Everybody had a different role. they really make it very clear that there's an entire galaxy, multiple galaxies worth of beings that all participate in this system. So that was great. The fact that the product that family is known for, and which is one of the most prized in all of the universes, is made from the essence of living beings, was like, again, bleak. That is horrible. And they harvest, quote unquote harvest, hundreds of planets this way. When they acknowledge the scale, like for example, when Titus shows her one of the little canisters like this big, and he's like, yeah, it took like 1,000 souls to make one of these, something like that, something crazy. And she dropped it. I was like, that's kind of like a metaphor for this entire film, because the scale of that is insane. But, you know, the story just keeps on moving, keeps on ticking, scoots right on past it. And that's what I will say, is the story moves along at a pretty speedy pace. They kidnap Jupiter once, and then she escapes, and then again, and then she escapes, and then again, and then she escapes. I don't understand how a storyline can meander with so many events in it. Like, for example, the bounty hunters that were looking for Caine, I think they were looking for him originally. Why we see them so much? It's got to be like hundreds. These are galaxies we're talking about, hundreds of planets. There's got to be more than these 4 bounty hunters looking for this guy at one time. The fact that we kept seeing them again and again, I know they look really cool. I love like her tattoos and the other guy with the feathers and whatnot, and that's really cool to look at, but why do we need to see that? Vanessa Kirby's random self showing up, getting ready for a date, and then asking Jupiter for advice. I mean, come on, girl. That was very Cinderella-ish, where, you know, I'm making friends with the help. Please. Jupiter's personality is very basic. It's waiting to be filled in. She never knew her father, but she can see all the time how her mother like avoids certain topics of conversation and stuff, and she wants to know more about him, and she wants to get a telescope, which is odd to me because although she's named after Jupiter and her father was an astronomer, she doesn't really seem to have a very strong understanding of science. It would be very different if she was trying to go to school, in a club, a part of a community of some kind, or had, you know, like a hobby or something that she was interested in, or if she showed like a strong sense of personality that didn't come from being kidnapped 3 different times and being over it. That was when her personality really came out, was after she's been like tricked and manipulated, and she finally, close to the end of the movie, gets up enough energy to really assert herself. That was a bummer. You know, it would be different to see childhood friends, doesn't have any. Ex-boyfriends, doesn't seem to have any. Her life seems to start 15 minutes into the movie where she first wakes up to go to work. Caine's character was a bit more developed. We get his backstory, we get his inner conflict, we understand his like rigid, like stoic kind of personality. But there's so much backstory and details that needed to be told in order for us to be able to relate. Like Caine's backstory, which we learned from his former commander, we got the bits that mattered, but we had to make time to hear that story. And although this movie is very long, the way that it's organized leaves a lot of things undeveloped and were unsatisfying. Her, like Jupiter letting her cousin trick her into selling her eggs, that was weird. And it made her seem like a simpleton, you know? She's going to a clinic to sell her eggs and she's gonna give her cousin most of the money. What? Stuff like that made it difficult to connect with her, to relate with her, to even feel sorry for her, because she is a whole damsel in distress. And I kind of thought we were done with that character, but here she is. We have the older brother, you know, focused on business. We've got the younger brother focused on pleasures of the flesh. And we've got the middle sister who has balanced herself in between. And also something I thought we had gotten rid of. It was so simplistic. It was like, look at that. So the older brother is like secretly as unstable as the younger brother. And the younger brother is just looking out for himself, of course, you know. And the sister is trying to influence the situation peacefully. She's empathetic, but is not about to change things in a very significant way. Like the fact that this is what their industry is, and at no point was anybody like, you know, maybe we should find something else to sell. That was never a question. And I kind of wish that they would have confirmed that. But it all became about saving Jupiter's Earth, saving her family, and that was it. So visually, great. So much variety of characters, a great variety of voice actors so that not all the characters sound the same. They really tried to build a very full world. There was just so much. It was like a Valerian in the City of 1,000 Worlds, something like that. It was just so much to try to squeeze into this movie. I feel like it would have made more sense to break it up into parts, but I don't think it would have the spice to keep it going into multiple parts. Not like a movie like Dune that has a cult following. It's a classic piece of literature, la la la. This is something that is fun. So overall, I would give Jupiter Ascending, I would give it a 3 out of 5, not because of the music or sound design or because of the story or the characters, but because the special effects are very good, even on like HD, and the like costume design, character design, and the variety of the like cast members is so diverse and visible in this film. You know, you really get a sense that there are as many different types of people that are a part of the system as there are, you know, planets. And there are way more than we think. So it is overall interesting to watch. There are little scenes and details that are unexpected and interesting, like the thing about the bees. When Caine goes to visit his old commander, Stinger, they have bees all over their property, and bees can sense when they're in the presence of royalty. So that was cute and funny, but also like, what? A little romance between her and Caine sprinkled in there. The wolf genetic thing and the like ears and eyes and stuff, making them better soldiers and whatnot. That was an interesting detail, but they don't really go into it. The wings thing was a bit much. It was. They use advanced technology. They're not actually flying with these wings. It just seemed to be doing a lot. It was very like girl fantasy kind of stuff by the end. But, you know, why not? Jupiter has claimed the planet as her inheritance. And I guess is going to have it until she dies. I'm assuming that she is going to transfer it to Kalik because Kalik uses the stuff and Jupiter doesn't, and is just a human girl. That was the thing that got me. She's just a human girl. She just has the physical makeup of this former empress of the universe, I guess, but she is still just Jupiter. But you guys let me know what you think if you saw it. Thank you all for spending your time here with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you all next time.